All right, morning and happy race day. We're talking about the Cup Series at Martinsville. It's fast cars, fast money. Apologize for not being able to get a video out for the Cup Series last weekend. Decided on some last second travel plans to go see some friends, which was fun. But now we're back home and we have some time. Just got done with the spreadsheet and figured to hop on to record the video. But hey, if you're not, make sure you're following us over on X. It's at Fast Cars FM. There's a couple of us here that work on the spreadsheet. So even if I'm not able to hop on camera, record this video, if you only watch us on YouTube, if you go over on X, we still post the spreadsheet there, regardless if we have the video out or not. And we do that for the Truck Series and the Xfinity Series as well. So if you like NASCAR, if you like playing NASCAR DFS, if you like it for the Truck Series, the Xfinity Series, and the Cup Series, it's really a great spot to go. But if you're new here or if you've been watching these videos for a while, being able to help us with liking, commenting, sharing, retweeting our content is greatly appreciated. We're only like 40 subscribers away from our goal of 1,000, which is ridiculous. That's awesome. So thank you guys. And then we've also been having a really great year with tips. I've had tips on PayPal, tips on Venmo come through, even if it's $5, $10. Like it really is greatly appreciated, and it really shows that you guys are having success, and you're supporting the channel and you're having fun too. So thank you. Um, so let's really talk about Martinsville now. We got a 400 lap race today. So because of that, it's going to be a very high scoring slate. So when we have these high scoring slates and you try to look at, well, how do I want my lineup to be constructed? Really, you want to focus on dominators. And dominators are guys who you think can lead laps, run fast laps, finish up front, lead 50, 60, 70, 80, 100 plus laps. Those are going to be really the core plays today that you're going to want to focus on. And then if you're able to hit on those, it really doesn't almost matter what the rest of your lineup does. You're going to be able to navigate and hit that cash line. But if you're missing out on those dominators, really only have place differential plays or value plays that aren't leading laps, it's going to be a tough time today. Martinsville is a short, flat track. Very, very, very tough to pass here. So because of that, track position is really important. How good you are on pit road is pretty important as well. Um, normally we see a lot of, banging and guys getting into each other. Hopefully, nearly not as bad as the Xfinity Series yesterday. Man, that was a painful stage three to say the least. The Cup Series usually is pretty good, and this Cup car kind of lends itself to it as well. Not necessarily the best racing, but normally kind of longer green flag runs here. So not really expecting too much chaos. However, there is rain in the forecast, which will be interesting if that does happen. If it rains, they can still run. It just depends on how hard the rain is and if it's thunderstorming or not. And yes, Martinsville has lights. So hopefully we can get this full race in, rain or or sunshine today. Um, Begin to the driver by driver breakdown. Really for me, from Chase Briscoe on up to Ryan Blaney, I love all of these guys. I want to try to get at least three of these guys in every single one of my lineups today. Really just kind of mix and match. That's how I'm approaching it. And then depending on how much salary I have left, kind of rounding out my lines with value and place differential plays. But I'd much rather take like a stars and scrubs type of approach today than more of a balanced lineup. I just really like the value and the upside that everyone from Briscoe on up offers today. So I'm really going to try to go heavy and really target these guys. So let's talk about it. So you got Ryan Blaney. He starts 32nd. In the six next gen races here, he has two wins. He's finished in the top five of six times, and he's never finished outside the top 10. Pretty good numbers. He starts deep in the field. He also offers us some place differential upside. So don't love his qualifying effort. However, we know he's good here. We know he can probably work his way through the field. It's just likely going to take him a little bit of time. He's had speed. He just hasn't had the results. Like, he looked like one of the best, if not the best car at Homestead, blew the engine. So I will say for tournaments, he's going to be very high owned. And if for whatever reason he gets stuck and can't get his way towards the front of the field or, finishes 15th or 16th today, he's still going to score well, but he might not hit the optimal lineup. But if you're playing cash games, it's hard not to start your line with Ryan Blaney today. So really like Blaney. Larson's another driver that has been strong here. He has an average finish of 5.5 over the 6 races here. A win, finished in the top five 4 times, top 10 5 times. Starts up closer to the front. Could be a guy that picks up some fast laps. Could be get up front and be a lap leader today as well. Now Hamlin hasn't been as dominant in at Martinsville as he used to be, but it's not like his numbers are bad by any means. It has been over a decade since he's won here, but he's still running well. His average finish is 9.3, pretty good in the practice averages, but you can't play everyone up here, and I'd rather, play Blaney or Larson or maybe some of these other guys, but I'm still gonna have a lot of ownership to Denny Hamlin, don't get me wrong. Um, Byron's another guy. He has 2 wins at Martinsville. Average finish of 8.5 gives us a little bit more place differential upside as well, without being so pinned far back in the field that, it shouldn't take him as long to get up towards the front. He also has a really, really good pit crew as well. So I think that's going to help him, gain some spots anytime the caution flag is coming out. Then you have the drivers on the front row. We know how tough it is to pass at Martinsville. In previous Martinsville races, we've seen, guys and maybe not the best cars or, maybe not the best drivers really being able to kind of hold their position in lead laps or maintain their track position just because of how tough it is to pass here. We also do not have those option tires today. So, you're not really going to see, you're still going to see comers and goers, but not nearly as much as we did at Phoenix. So Bell's able to hit the gas first coming to the green flag, should give him an advantage. He'll have the bottom row. He has a great chance of going out there and leading, a bulk, if not all of stage one today. Um, Chase Elliott starts right next to Christopher Bell. So if Bell has a bad restart or, gets a little bit loose or slips up or, can't navigate through traffic the best, Elliott's really right there to take advantage of it. And Elliott's numbers, depending on what you're looking at, his numbers are actually a little bit better than Christopher Bell's. It just depends on, what metrics you're looking at. But he's an average finish at 8.7 here. Really like his ability to run fast laps and get some laps led. And, he's a little bit cheaper than Christopher Bell as well. Logano, another guy, like him a lot. He's the only other driver in the field besides Ryan Blaney to finish in the top 10 in every single next gen, Martinsville race. He has not won here like Blaney, but he does have an average finish of 5.2. So we know he's going to be up front. We know he's going to be a contender. Won't take much for him to get towards the front of the field today. Then we got Briscoe. Briscoe's kind of, like I said, my cutoff line of where I want a bulk of my target plays to be. Like I said, from Briscoe up to Blaney, I want 3 of these guys in every single lineup. He gets his first run in a JGR car at Martinsville. He was pretty good here at Stewart Haas Racing, an average finish of 8.5. He's finished in the top 10 5 of 6 times. He's now on even better equipment. Starts 11th because they have a little bit of place differential upside, kind of like William Byron. And he's a lot cheaper than Byron as well. So those are really my favorite plays today. You can't play all of them, unfortunately. So just kind of try and mix and match or get your favorites. And then depending on how much money you have left, that'll kind of dictate the rest of your lineups today. Chastain, again, numbers here are pretty strong. Average finish of 9.7, but he starts 17th, and I think he's going to kind of stall out around 10th. So yes, he does give you some place differential upside, but if you're playing Chastain, you're likely, sacrificing or swapping out one of those guys that we just talked about. And I think they just offer a higher ceiling, than Chastain does. Bowman's interesting. Everyone's going to play Bell. Everyone's going to play Elliott, as their early lap leaders. But we've seen crazy things happen. And, say Bell and Elliott go down in the corner and one of them gets loose and they slide up the track together. Bowman can slip right under them. Or, say one of them, there's a wreck or caution or they spin out, whoever, you never know what can happen. But Alex Bowman's going to come in significantly lower owned than Bell and Elliott. So it kind of makes for an interesting tournament play if you're just trying to get risky, get different. You don't really care that Bell and Elliott are going to project higher. You're just playing for leverage plays, right? Bowman's an interesting guy for that. And then really from Cindric down to Reddick, I'm really just not getting to these guys too much just because of how top heavy my line is. But if you are finding yourself in this range, Cindric has been running much better here. Kind of like Chastain, I think he might stall out around like 10th to 12th place, gives you some place differential upside. Kyle Busch has really struggled here with RCR. He does start 12th with some decent practice times, but just tough to rely on him right now. Barry's another driver that's been running pretty well this year. This type of racing style, fits his driving, or this type of track fits his racing style. But again, limited place differential upside, and he's kind of expensive. Keselowski and Tyler Reddick are two guys that have just really struggled here at Martinsville. I remember going to the Martinsville race when Keselowski led like 450 of the 500 laps or something, which was crazy. Um, but in the next gen era, for whatever reason, he just has not been that good here. Average finish of 23.8 here over those six races. Starts in the 20s. I think he finishes in the 20s today. Reddick has pretty much an identical average finish of 23.7. He does start ninth, a little bit better practice times, but again, it just seems like he's going to fall back and give you negative place differential points. Guy, whoever I think can give you positive place differential points is going to be Ryan Preece. He starts 21st, runs pretty well at Martinsville. Average finish of 14.5, and that's when he was with SHR. So now he's in RFK, which I would say is arguably better equipment. So it depends on how top heavy your line is, but if you're finding yourself in the 7K range, I really like Ryan Preece today. Busher, again, we just talked about how tough it is to pass at Martinsville. So it's very likely he could just kind of maintain this kind of 6th to 10th place running position for most of the race, which is fine. But I don't really think he has the car to get out front, lead laps, put down fast laps, really advance his position. And there's some guys that start behind him that I really like that I think are slowly but surely just going to methodically kind of work their way through. Um, Now, Bubba Wallace, I like him a lot. He has good numbers here. I really like the price tag for $7,200. He's finished in the top 10 in half of the races here. Average finish of 11th. Was one of the fastest cars in practice, qualified well, has the track position. So I really like him today in terms of value. Ty Gibbs is interesting. The law of averages say that he's going to turn this around sooner rather than later, right? Right? Maybe we're just telling ourselves that to feel good about putting them in your line. Just like last week, really, really strong practice numbers is tempting to click on him, but man, last week he dropped like a rock and really tanked lineups, and that is definitely a fear again today. So really proceed with caution, but Gibbs's ownership has just been dropping because of his poor results as well. So again, if you're playing tournaments, just trying to get a little bit different, you're willing to take a risk. The numbers are there to say that Ty Gibbs should run well today. Will he? You'll have to tune in to the race today and see. Gregson and Suarez are pretty much identical plays. They both start in the 20s. Average finish kind of around 22nd, 23rd. Really not that much interest there. Hocevar, he had decent practice lap averages inside the top 10, suggesting he can move forward. He starts deep, so he should have, maybe a tough time getting through the field. But for $6,600 starting 29th, he's a good value play to feel good pairing with your stud options up top. Austin Dillon actually has decent numbers here. Not too bad. Two top 10 finishes in the six races. Average finish right around 18th is where he starts. So again, kind of a low tournament option today. I wish he started a little bit further back. I'd be a little bit more interested, but I don't really think he's going to have ownership. So I think that's a good way to get a little bit different. I really do like Cole Custer today, another driver who has shown speed here. Average finish of 17.5. So not that many positions, in front of where he starts, but you know, once you get down here, guys who are averaging finishing inside the top 20 gets rare. So to be able to get that, for a driver while also giving you some place differential upside, I like that. Good price tag as well. Eric Jones, not that good in practice. However, his average finish here in the next gen era is 19th. So if he can just maintain that average, he's going to be a home run play. He offers a good amount of place differential upside. So again, if you're paying up for the expensive guys, you're going to have to come down here to the lower range. I like the Hosevars. I like the Custers. I like the Eric Jones. McDowell and Allmendinger just not really getting to them. Their average finishes are in the 20s, so I think either they'll maintain the running position or likely will fall back. Um, SVG starts pretty deep. Usually the road course guys do well here. I think he only has one, maybe two starts here. Um, his practice times were decently strong, but it's really just the price tag and where he starts. You really just need him to really finish the race to score points, and as long as he finishes, it really almost doesn't matter what he does if you're able to nail those lap leaders. Haley just cannot figure out Martinsville. Does not have good numbers here. Starts deep, I think. He finishes deep. Stenhouse, kind of like Eric Jones, a little bit cheaper. His average finish is about 21st here, starts 34th. So again, if Eric Jones can maintain his average, if Ricky Stenhouse can maintain his average, those are going to be some pretty good plays today. Todd Gilliland, we like him. I kind of think he's like a cheaper Cole Custer. Custer has slightly better numbers than Todd, but Todd's also cheaper and also gives you a little bit more place differential. His average finish is 19.5. So again, place differential is important. Stenhouse and Jones definitely offer more place differential with similar, average finishes. But looking at practice and stuff and track position, kind of like Todd and Custer, especially for tournaments, but maybe Stenhouse and Jones would be a little bit more safer for cash games. Herp's practice times really aren't that good. Starts deep. He is cheap. So, if you just need someone, you can't afford the other guys. I don't mind Riley Herbst, but I think he's going to be one of the guys that runs in the back today. Zane Smith, John Hunter Nemechek, similar. They just kind of start a little bit too far forward. If you're playing up those guys, you still need some place differential in here, and they're just really not giving us too much. Ty Dillon, again, not really an amazing play. We don't really need him to be an amazing play. He had top 20 times in practice. If he's able to finish, 22nd, 23rd, is it going to be great? No. Is it going to kill your line? No. So, and he's pretty cheap. He's easy to get in the lines. Cody Ware starts pretty, low in the field. Actually, had decent practice times. He was top 15 in the 10 lap average, but he's going to get lapped, which really isn't that big of a deal. A lot of cars are going to get lapped. He really just needs to finish the race. But I'm not expecting a ton of cautions or guys to DNF like we saw in the especially the Xfinity Series race. Burt Myers gets another chance in the Cup car, but equipment isn't that good. Likely we'll have a mechanical failure or just run in the back. Same with Casey Mears. Starts on the last row. Car isn't that good. He's really only going to finish or gain spots from guys wrecking out, and I'm not really suspecting that many guys to wreck today. So I haven't built lines yet. Hopefully this is helpful. Again, for me, it's really just getting as many Briscoe up to Blaney plays as I can get, mixing and mashing, and then depending on how much salary I have left, if I can get to these high and kind of medium owned drivers down here, that's how most of my lineups are going to look today. So that'll be it. Thank you guys, as always, for tuning in. Hope you guys have a wonderful race day. Good luck, and we'll catch you next weekend.